I never expected a simple cargo run to change my entire life. In fact, when I woke up that morning aboard my hauler, the courier's pulse, all I cared about was delivering a shipment of grav coils to the outer colonies and getting paid before fuel prices jumped again. The universe, of course, had other plans. It started with a distress beacon, faint, scrambled, and pulsing like a heartbeat lost in the void. My navigation AI, Ro, detected it as I glided past the asteroid belt of a forgotten system. Signal type, duelist right. Origin, Zyran Empire. At that, I froze. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Zyrans, tall, powerful humanoids with crystalline bones and a culture built on honor, combat, and impossible challenges. They didn't ask for help. They demanded it. And those demands often came with blades. Of all the things I needed today, I muttered, a Zyran challenge wasn't one of them. But curiosity is a disease, and I've been sick all my life. So I altered course. The beacon led me to a shimmering silver sphere floating alone in space. It was a Zyran dueling arena, an autonomous construct, smooth and perfect, large enough to house a stadium of warriors. It was impossible for such a thing to be here, unless someone had activated it for a duel. When I docked and stepped into the central hall, I saw her. Tall, radiant, terrifying. A Zyran woman stood in the center of the arena, her skin a deep metallic violet, her eyes molten gold. She wore ceremonial armor made of crystalline plates that reflected every light in the chamber. Her presence filled the room like gravity. She looked at me with the confidence of someone who had never lost. You answered my beacon, she said. Good. I am Kyra Vesh, daughter of the 7th lineage, heir of the Blade Circuit. I challenge you. Challenge me? I blinked. There must be some mistake. I'm a cargo hauler, not. She raised a hand sharply. In the right, the one who answers is the opponent. This law is absolute. Fantastic, I said, rubbing my temples. And what's the challenge? Her lips curved into a smile, sharp, amused, dangerous. A contest of skill. Win, and I will be yours. I choked on air. What? It is our tradition. Beat me, and you earn my allegiance, my loyalty, and my companionship. Should you lose, however, her smile widened. You will serve me. Forever. Every instinct in my body screamed, leave. Run. Escape. But something in her eyes, fire, challenge, and undeniable magnetism, held me there. Right. I sighed. What's the contest? She gestured, and the arena's walls lit up with shifting patterns of light. 3 phases. Strength, strategy, spirit. Win 2 out of 3, and victory is yours. Ro buzzed into my ear through my comm link. Recommendation, decline. Zyrans are statistically unbeatable. I don't think she's giving me a choice. Kyra extended her hand. A glowing sigil appeared on the floor beneath me. The rite has begun. Phase 1, strength. The arena morphed around us until we stood in a metallic canyon stretching miles high. Floating platforms drifted between cliffs. Massive crystalline shards hovered above us. Kyra rolled her shoulders, the motion rippling through her armor. This test is simple. Reach the summit before I do. She launched, herself upward in a violet blur. Simple. My ass, Ro, help me out. Activating exo boosters. My suit's boosters whined to life, and I blasted upward, gripping ledges and launching from platform to platform. But Kyra moved like lightning incarnate. Every jump she made shattered the stone beneath her, sending shockwaves through the canyon. She was a blur of motion, and within a minute she was already halfway up the towering cliffs. Not good, I muttered. I pushed my boosters to their limit. I dodged falling debris, ricocheting crystals, and waves of heat from the shifting environment. Sweat dripped into my eyes as I climbed higher, the summit glimmering above. Then a massive crystal cracked away from the cliff and plummeted toward me. I barely dove aside. It smashed the platform beneath me, sending me tumbling. My boosters flickered. Warning, power failing. No, come on. I looked up and saw Kyra speeding toward the top, almost finished. I needed something drastic. Spotting a pair of floating shards embedded with energy coils, I made a gamble. I leapt between them, grabbed the nearest shard, and jammed its crystal core into my booster pack. Row, integrate. This is extremely unwise. Just do it. The boosters detonated with new power, flinging me upward like a missile. I streaked past Kyra, who snapped her gaze toward me in visible shock. For the last 10 meters, I had no control. It was pure momentum, pure chaos. But I slammed into the summit platform with a desperate, brutal thud. When I looked back, breathless and bruised, Kyra landed a moment later. Her golden eyes narrowed, then softened. You won the first trial. My heart hammered with adrenaline. Guess strength isn't just muscles. Sometimes it's creativity. She tilted her head. Or stupidity. Both work, I said. She actually laughed. Phase 2. Strategy. The arena shifted again. We stood in a vast chamber illuminated by 1,000 hovering tiles, each glowing with shifting symbols. Beneath them, a bottomless abyss. Kyra gestured. This is the mind lattice. Each tile is a node. Only certain paths will lead to the exit. Choose wrong and you fall. So a puzzle. A battle of intellect, she corrected. She stepped forward, pressing a sequence of symbols in fluid, practiced motions. The tiles lit beneath her, forming a clear path toward the far portal. She moved effortlessly, almost dancing. I swallowed. Ro, any idea what these symbols mean? Patterns appear to follow fractal logic. Attempting analysis. Kyra paused on her path, watching me with fascinated amusement. Your move, human. I studied the symbols, spirals, triangles, branching glyphs, and noticed subtle connections. Some tiles pulsed in pairs. Others dimmed when neighboring tiles brightened. Okay, fractal growth patterns. I can work with this. I stepped onto a spiral tile. It lit. Good. I chose another tile, triangle glyphs repeating in a geometric cascade. It lit, but the tile ahead of it dimmed dangerously. Not that one, I whispered. Kyra watched patiently, her arms folded. Impressive, she said as I navigated the early sections. Most challengers fail before the 10th step. I took another careful step. Then 2 tiles collapsed instantly. Kyra's eyes widened. Move. I leapt, grabbing a tile's edge as it flickered. Below me, the abyss yawned endlessly. She held out a hand. A alienwarrior offering help. Unheard of. I can make it, I grunted. Tile by tile. I climbed back up. My breath shook, but determination burned through me. I followed the logic, fractal repetition, mirrored sequences, time-based pulses, and slowly charted a path. When I reached the final tile, Kyra approached me. You solved the lattice, she said quietly. I underestimated you. I exhaled. Score is 2-0. Does that mean I already? Not yet, she interrupted. The 3rd phase must still be completed. Even if I already won? The right is sacred. The last test reveals the victor's true nature. My stomach tightened. What's the final challenge? Her expression changed. Less warrior, more something softer.
Spirit, she said.
Phase 3. Spirit. The arena dissolved into darkness. Then stars flickered into view, swirling around us in streaks of gold and blue. We stood on nothing and everything at once, a cosmic landscape shaped by the mind. What is this place? I breathed. The realm of essence, Kyra said. A space woven from our consciousness. Here, you face your truest self. And what do I have to do? Open your mind to it. The starlight twisted, and suddenly I found myself standing before a memory. My old home, the launch pad where I once promised my father I'd live a life worth telling stories about. He'd smiled at me that day, a soft, worn smile, and then he was gone. The moment replayed itself with crushing clarity. Kyra watched silently. "This is your burden," she said. "Your lingering grief." "Everyone has grief," I muttered. "But not everyone confronts it." I clenched my fists. The memory pulled at me, trying to drag me backward into regret, into guilt, into the feeling that I hadn't lived up to anything at all. "No," I whispered. "Not today." I stepped forward, and the memory dissolved like smoke. The stars spun again. Now it was Kyra's memory, or rather, her spirit. She stood alone, surrounded by towering crystalline warriors, elders judging her in cold silence. "You?" I asked. She stiffened. "My lineage is one of perfection," she said. "Every heir must prove themselves in endless combat. I have never lost, but because of that, I have never known choice." I frowned. "What do you mean?" She looked at me with raw, vulnerable honesty. Every duel, every challenge, those were forced upon me. I wanted something else, something real. We stood in silence as the starlight dimmed. "What does winning this trial mean?" I asked softly. "It means you have faced your spirit and acknowledged mine. And losing. Losing means your spirit breaks beneath the weight of truth." The stars pulsed. The realm pressed in. I felt both our emotions, my grief and her loneliness, intertwining like cosmic threads. So I did the only thing that felt right. I reached out and took her hand. Her eyes widened in shock. "We don't need to fight this part," I said. "Not strength, not strategy, just connection." The starlight burst outward in a brilliant wave, warm, powerful, and healing. The memories faded. The darkness lifted, and the arena reformed around us, quiet and glowing. Kyra looked at me breathlessly. "You passed," she whispered. "All 3 trials." I exhaled hard. So, what now? Ending. The claim of victory. Kyra stepped close enough that her breath warmed my cheek. She studied me, not as a challenger, but as someone entirely unexpected. "Human," she said softly. "You have won the right. That means," she paused, eyes flickering with something new and trembling. "I belong to you." I swallowed. "Kyra, I didn't enter this to claim anyone." "But you did claim victory," she murmured. She lifted her hand and pressed her palm against my chest, feeling my heartbeat. "I challenged you because I believed no one could defeat me. I believed I was unbreakable, untouchable. But you surprised me. You met every trial with strength, mind, and spirit. You saw me as more than a warrior." Her voice dropped to a soft, fragile whisper. "And I have not felt seen in a very long time." I placed my hand over hers. "You're not mine," I said gently. "But if you choose to walk with me, I won't say no." Her golden eyes shimmered. "A choice," she repeated. "For the first time, it is mine." The arena lights dimmed, signaling the end of the rite. She stepped closer, her forehead touching mine. "In that case," she whispered, "I choose you." When we walked out of the dueling sphere and back onto the courier's pulse, I felt the universe shift around me. Not because I'd won a challenge I was never meant to face, but because I'd earned someone's trust. Someone powerful, brilliant, and impossibly extraordinary. As the stars stretched ahead of us, Kyra took her place beside me in the cockpit. "Where do we go?" she asked. "Anywhere," I said, smiling. "Everywhere." She smiled back, soft, fierce, and full of promise. "Then let us conquer the stars together." And with that, the engines roared to life, carrying us into a future neither of us could have imagined. Two warriors of spirit bound not by victory or defeat, but by choice.